We have already said we won't have unemployment. We will have re-employment of anyone who loses their job. We did that in the Great Depression of the 1930s. Let me be real clear. Between 1934 and 1941, those key years of the Great Depression, the federal government said to workers who were fired by their private employers, we, the government, will put you back to work. We will re-employ you. The government became what we call the employer of last resort. If the private sector either cannot or will not give you a job, if the private employers choose to fire you, we, the government, will hire you. Here's what that achieved. Millions of workers, we estimate about 15 million, millions of workers in the 1930s did not have to turn either to the government or to their relatives or to the church to get benefits to survive. We didn't need to pay unemployment benefits because these people weren't unemployed. They were re-employed by the government. The government hired them and the government paid them a salary. No unemployment. And by paying them a salary rather than giving them an unemployment benefit, here's what they got. Those people gave back to society. The people hired by the federal government were put to work. They were given the tools and the equipment to work with. I'm going to give you two brief examples. One was called the WPA. It's not important what the letters refer to. These were artists. What an interesting idea. To all the people who lost their job as singers, dancers, painters, sculptors, craftspeople of one kind or another, they lost their job. The government said, come, we'll hire you. They hired them. They created teams of actors, of poets, of writers, and they moved them around the United States to provide lessons and performances across the country. It was the greatest cultural production in American history. People who had never had a theater troupe in their community had one. People who had never taught young people in the community how to paint had that. Spectacular. The other program the government hired people for was the Civilian Conservation Corps. They were the first people to do ecological environmental projects across America. They reforested the land. They got cleared swamps. They redesigned rivers. There were other examples. They built the national parks that many of you enjoy going to in the western part of our country. Wonderfully useful projects were produced by people who were paid. What a wonderfully better way of doing things than letting people languish on unemployment.